Hello everyone and welcome. A couple of videos back I mentioned that I was fairly busy and I wasn't going to have time to do any overnighters for a while. Well, I managed to squeeze in some time. We're here today, we're going to set up and we're spending the night. I've got the hot tent with me. I'm in an area where I've been before but I've never camped. I did a video here, I believe it was 2 years ago. There was a ground fire that had started under these trees here. And when I found it, it was going around the corner and following along the road. I managed to grab my Dollarama folding bucket and get all the flames out before the ministry got here to put the fire out completely. They showed up and doused it really well, but I got most of the flames out before they got here. It was an interesting afternoon. But this spot is very popular in the summer because it's so close to the highway again. This spot is always full. Now that the fall is here, hunting season is just about done, so there's a lot less people back here. There's nobody here. Everybody thinks it's too cold to camp. Well, I don't. I've got a nice spot just over behind the camera here where I'm going to set up the tent so that I'm kind of tucked out of the way. But I've got this nice big open area. Beautiful view of the river. Should be a good night. As you can see, I've kind of kicked an area clear of snow a little bit. This is where I'm thinking of setting up the tent. I've got the tent, the Onetigris north gaze, and I brought my axe. Hopefully the pegs aren't too hard to drive in. This is just a thought, but I think the ground might be frozen. So the tent is up and it's all staked out. All that's left now is to get the cot in there and get the stove in there. And we'll be set up for the night and then we can go get some firewood. So now the cot is in, the stove is in, I have my CO2 detector, I've swapped the batteries around. I'm going to leave it in the pouch for now. When I light the stove, I'll put it out. I'll leave it out somewhere. I think when I'm sitting in my chair tonight, I'll leave it sitting on top of my bed. And when I go to sleep, I'll just set it on the chair. I've got my Apollo air mattress from Gear Doctors, which I will be putting on the cot. Just to give me a little bit of R value from underneath and make it a little bit more comfortable. And I've got my little flex tail pump. And way too many attachments. I'm always hunting for the right one. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Put the attachment on the end. Sorry for the noise. Put it in where it goes and double tap the button. Not too firm. I find if I fill it too firm, it's too tight and you tend to roll to either side and it slides out from underneath you. If I leave it just a little bit soft, I get my R value, but I don't slide around as much. I've got my Woods sleeping bag. It's rated for -7 Celsius or 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Now tonight it's supposed to go down to about -4, I think is what they said with the wind chill. So I'm pushing this bag kind of to its limits. But I've got the stove if I need it. And I also brought a wool blanket. I'm leaving it in the car. But if I find it's too cold this evening, I can pull out that wool blanket and wrap up in that as well. But I'm normally very warm in this sleeping bag. And I have enough layers with me that if need be, I can put on some extra layers, wrap up in the wool blanket, and I'll be fine. But like I said, with the wood stove in here, I could always throw a little extra wood on the stove and stay toasty warm. Picked these up at Dollarama a few years ago, and we've been using them for camping ever since. They're nice and light, and they compress very, very small when you're sticking them in the backpack. So I brought with me 2 different thermometers. This one right now reads 0 degrees Celsius, which is about 32 degrees Fahrenheit, right around the freezing mark. I'm going to hang this one right here in this tree. The tent is just behind the camera. This one, I'm just going to leave it on the bed. And when we have our fire in there tonight and we're sitting around, I'll check the temperature once in a while. When you're out looking for dead standing wood, you can't find any better than this. Not a stitch of bark on it. Standing perfectly straight. This is dead as well. It still has a bit of bark on it. It's still a bit damp, but this seems completely dry. There's quite a few dead trees in here. So this should work fantastic for the outside fire. So I'm bringing that wood back to camp, and look what I spot. That is a nice little chunk of chaga. I'm going to note where this is, because the chaga that I collected couple of videos back, once I cut it up and dried it, I have 2 big Ziploc freezer bags full. I don't need more than that right now. But if I make a mental note that this little piece is here, when I'm running low, I can come back and collect this, and hopefully it's grown a little bit bigger. Nice. So on my drive in, came across some cattails. So I grabbed a few of the cattails. And I collected a bunch of the dry grass that was around it. Now I'm going to use this and make a little bit of a pocket. I've got my fire lay set up down there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. I will bust open one of the cattails and show you all the fluff that's inside. And I've gathered up some birch bark. I'm going to light that fluff with my ferro rod. Throw a little bit of birch bark on top, because that fluff burns, but it burns very fast. You need something to extend that flame. So I've got my bed of dry grass. Now if I just twist this and spread it apart, look at all those fine fibers. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of birch bark. find twigs. A couple of pieces of kindling that I had split. So I just went and checked the thermometer. It's already down to -2 degrees Celsius. Works out to about 28 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun's going down and so's the temperature. Now, I didn't cut a whole lot of wood for out here. I just wanted to be able to have a small campfire and enjoy it. But it's going to get dark early, and I think it's going to be too hard. This is too open and the wind is picking up just a little bit. I think I'll be better off trying to cook dinner on the wood stove inside. I've moved inside, closer to the stove. It's 5:30, pitch black outside. I've got to use the lights in here to be able to see what's going on. Now, I checked the outdoor thermometer. It's sitting at -3, which is 27-ish, 28, something like that. In here, I've got both doors wide open for filming purposes. And it is 7 degrees Celsius, which is about 44 Fahrenheit, around there. With both doors wide open, can't ask for much better than that. Especially with the wind coming from this direction. I've got my fire maple pot. I'm going to put a bit of water in there. Got my cutting board. And I brought a potato, pre-washed it at home. I'm gonna cut this up. Toss it in the pot. So there's our nice pot of potatoes. Put the lid on here. Set that on the stove. Water's getting hot. It's going to be boiling soon. Got my frying pan. And I brought out a nice big Spanish onion, and some white mushrooms, that I pre-washed at home. I've got a small bottle here that I've put olive oil in. And I have my steak. Now here's my steak. It's a top sirloin beef eater steak. Now we're gonna open this up. I've got my little bottle of olive oil. Put just a little bit on that. And I brought along a bottle of Montreal steak spice, but there was only a little bit left, and I added a little bit of garlic powder. So we're going to season that. And then we're going to turn it over. And we'll do the same thing on that side. Add in a little bit of butter. Now we'll add in our onions and mushrooms. Potatoes are cooked. I took them off and put them in front of the stove here. These are pretty much done. I'm going to try and put them into the same pot with the potatoes. Okay. Put the lid on that. Keep it close to the stove to try and keep it warm. Put a little pat of butter into the pan. And in goes the steak. Okay, I'm going to pull this out of the pan. Place it on this cutting board. And I'm going to set that aside and let it rest for just a minute or two. Now I'm going to put some water in this pan and let it heat up just so that I can clean out the pan. Oh, nice. That's perfect. Mmm. Now here's our mushrooms and onions. Nice chunk of potato. Because I fried those mushrooms and onions in the butter and then set them on top of the potatoes, the little bit of butter has dripped through onto the potatoes. Oh, these are delicious. I've added a bit more wood to the stove, but I've damped it down a little bit so it's not running full bore. I don't need it to run that crazy anymore because I'm not cooking. So now I'm going to close up that door, keep eating my dinner, try and build up a little bit of heat in here. Supper was delicious, but I found the tent was sitting just a little too high off the ground at the front where the doors are. It was a good 5 to 6 inches off the ground, and I was getting a little too much cool air coming in here. So I went out and I moved the stakes in just a bit closer. I dropped the tent down so that it's only about an inch or two off the ground. Now it's perfect. I've damped the stove down so it's not running full bore. It's almost closed at the back. The front is wide open, but the back is almost closed. And it's been like that for about an hour now. I went and checked the thermometer outside. It's still running about minus 4 degrees Celsius. Works out to, what was it, 26 or so Fahrenheit. Now, I've had the thermometer resting on the bed, and we're running about 18 degrees Celsius. Works out to about 64, 65 Fahrenheit. And that's just sitting on the mattress. If I had hang it higher up above the stove, it'd probably be a lot warmer than that. So it's nice and comfortable in here. Oh, I could open up the sweater now. Soon I should be able to take it off completely. But it's only 10 after 8. Way too early for me to go to bed. So I've got my little speaker. I think I'm going to listen to a little bit of music. Maybe do a little bit of carving. That, or I may bust out my book and read a little bit. Who knows? Either way, I'm sitting back. I'm enjoying my evening. We'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope you all had a good night. You'll have to excuse the sounds from across the river. There's a couple of guys over there doing a bit of target shooting, I guess. Oh, that first sip is always the most delicious. One thing with this tent, because of the dark green color of it, it's light outside. It's 8:30. It's cloudy, there's no sun. But in here, without the light, I can't film. It's light enough that I can see, but I can't take pictures or film anything without a light on. So I've opened up the door. I've got you just outside the tent, and I have a light on for you to be able to see me. Ooh, that's hot on the fingers. Don't laugh when the cup is that full. But it was a good night. I was nice and comfortable all night long. Slept like a baby. I turned on that speaker. I was listening to some music. And yesterday morning before I left, I was watching a carving video by Doug Linker. Every now and then I like to watch one of his videos just to see what he's up to, and he does some beautiful carvings. But he also does tutorials. Now, I watched one yesterday morning, and I tried to do it from memory. It didn't work out quite as well as I liked, but it's still not bad. It's just a little worry bird. You get the little tail and the wings, his little beak. And it's just something to keep it around, keep it in your pocket. Something's bugging you, whatever. You want to fiddle, just rub the bird. But I saw the video and I thought it was a neat idea. Last night I was sitting here and thinking, maybe when I get home, when I have some time, I'll re-watch the video and carve along with him so that I can do it with him and do it properly. Then I thought, what the hell? We're sitting here bored. Let's try it from memory. It's not perfect, but for going from memory, I'll take it. I was thinking I might sand them a little bit and make them all nice, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I've got a little bit of Chaga stain left at home that I made last year. I think I just might throw them in there and stain it with that and leave it the way it is. Just as a reminder that your first attempt is never perfect. Just before bed, I always use this door. I've used both zippers on this door. This is my usual in and out. The other door, the one that's right beside the stove, because it's beside the stove, I don't use it as much because I'm always afraid that I'm going to touch the stove or knock over the stove or fall on the stove and burn myself. And being out here by myself, I don't like taking risks if I don't have to. But I had that door open last night because I was filming, and when I went out to close it, I closed it from outside, and for some reason I decided to try that upper zipper. Well, it broke. I opened it up, and then when I went to close it, you have both sides of the teeth that go into the zipper pull, and one side pulled out. So, I'm going to have a better look at it once I'm home, but I'm probably going to be contacting Onetigris and saying, okay, listen. Yes, I've had it a few months. I've only used it twice, and the first time I use that zipper, it breaks. Now, whether they're going to do anything about it or not, I have no idea. But while waiting for their answer, I'm going to keep researching on what I can do to fix it. I'm already thinking worse comes to worse. I never use that upper zipper on that side anyway. So I may just, as long as the other zipper works, use it as is. But until I know for sure what's going on, whether it's going to work or not, because right now the zipper is partly open at the top. I'm hoping that if I fully open the door and then close it again, the top will stay closed. If it doesn't, I might, if Onetigris doesn't do anything about it, I might throw just a couple stitches at the top, right behind that first top zipper. At least that way I know the zipper won't open while I'm in here. That was the one thing that worried me a little bit last night, is what am I going to do if that zipper just pops right open? Would have been a go get the wool blanket and cover up kind of night. But everything was fine. Nice and toasty warm. I had a great night's sleep. I got to make a cute little bird. Oh, they must be done shooting. They left. Good, I can go back to my peace and quiet. Oh, not for long though, because I gotta start packing up soon and get out of here. Go home and organize my stuff for work tomorrow. See if I can have a look at that zipper. But I want to thank you all for coming along. It's always wonderful having you with me. And I appreciate everything you do. The likes, the comments, the views. It all helps. So if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. If you're going to do that, you may as well hit the notification bell. It'll have a drop-down menu. In that menu, select all, and it should let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.